Welcome to the Kpopcast. I am your interim host and newest producer, Ariana. And with me, we are welcoming back friend of the podcast and reoccurring host, Rhodri Thomas.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I'm glad to have you back. So on this episode, we'll be talking about TVXQ's comeback with both The Chance of Love and Love Line.
Letting you know if these songs are daebak or not.
But before we dive into that, first let's get to our hit replays. Hit replays are songs we recommend you play on repeat or replay for the week. So Rhodri, what have you been replaying this week?
So, I had all these notes prepared for this other song, but BTS just released their song Let Go worldwide. And I didn't really think, it's super, every time I listen to a BTS song a lot, I just feel so cliche, but because everybody loves BTS, but I love these songs. And so I've been listening, especially to Let Go. There's the other one, Don't Leave Me, that's also really great. If you haven't heard them,
Don't Leave Me is so good.
Yeah, if on the weird off chance that you have not heard these songs yet, definitely go check them out because they are so good.
For me, normally I would typically go towards a BTS song, but I'm going to stick to my guns because I have been listening constantly to Monsta X's new album, and particularly the song Lost in a Dream. Lost in the Dream, not in a dream. I had to look that up. I actually always, I tend to be more of a fan of Monsta X's B tracks in general, and more so than their leading singles. And though I really actually do like Jealousy this time around, I actually think this is the one that I will continue to play forever and always. It's got this dreamlike quality to it, which obviously lives up to its name. I think of it as something you'd listen to on a soundtrack to an action film. It would be included on there, you know?
Yeah.
I also think the rap sections are really incredible, the way that they're placed in. And particularly, I have to point out IM's English lyrics, which are awesome. I like that he's making that shift more and more. And then absolutely top of it is the vocal line. They are so versatile in this song. And I have to point out my love Kihyun, he has really become one of my top 5 favorite voices in K-pop right now. And there's actually a clip of him just doing a snippet of his chorus part, and it's incredible.
Well, can I say, I am very glad you stuck to your guns because it would have been terrible if we both talked about BTS. That would have been the ultimate cliche.
Yeah. And I'm trying to be good since I was the BTS expert on here originally, that I try really hard to be I do like other bands, though it's going to get harder and harder every time they do a comeback.
When I first started the K-pop show, one of my biggest problems was I was constantly I knew a lot about boy bands, but I actually didn't have a whole lot of experience with the girl groups. So
yeah, I'm still like that more and more. I'm making my delve into them. It's hard for me because I don't do well with Aegyo.
Yeah, me neither.
So I Twice is coming out and I'm excited for them, but it's not necessarily my sound. But then if Blackpink comes out, I'm always in.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Big if there though, unfortunately.
Yeah, big if.
Thanks, YG.
Yeah. Cool. So now let's move on to our daebak or not. So, Rhodri, how do you feel about finally getting to this comeback?
Oh, at once I have so many words, and yet no words could deeply, fully express how wonderful this is for me. I have waited so long for TV. I remember their last album that came out like right when I think went to the military like the next day after it came out. So it's just been so long since we've had anything. And man, is this is just the album I needed. So great.
Yeah.
So good to have them back.
So I think we should start with The Chance of Love since it was the first that came out. So let's start on our Daebak or Not for that.
It's alright, it's okay. 바로 그 운명이란 거. Oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah. 바로 그 운명이란 거. Oh yeah yeah. It's alright, it's okay. 우리가 운명이란 거. Oh yeah yeah.
Let's start with the concept. I think that it's a very simplified concept, but at least there's something we can chat about a little bit.
Definitely.
The first thing I thought when I saw this is, oh, this reminds me of like every typical SM video from like pretty much early EXO and backwards. I think that they probably changed quite a bit. We see it going a different route with NCT, but this is like a very typical SM behind the scenes type video. I think that it's like really interesting how they shot it with like the changes of light being kind of the difference between what is behind the scenes and what is considered the final product. So you see like there's one part where there's like a wide shot with the dancers and it goes from black to white light, and when you see like the switch, you see either the raw lighting instruments or you see like the set.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, the play with that.
When I first watched through this video, to me it was just, I didn't really notice a whole lot. And I think that's actually really a good analysis, that this is like basically just every typical SM video, because it felt that way. It didn't feel like anything here was doing anything different. Not that I wanted them to. I'm just happy to have TVXQ
that they're back. Yeah.
But I liked that you say that they're like back, and that's the concept. It's basically just a video.
The concept is we're back.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that, but it fits perfectly. Like I think you're really onto something there. It's obviously just them in a set. They're making it very clear that they're filming a music video, and all of that stuff with the lights I didn't even notice, but it's totally true. And yeah, I mean, that's just like...
Yeah, they even have like that random car at the beginning. You're like, why is that even here? It doesn't even make it to the final product.
Is it just me, or does it feel like I always feel when I watch SM music videos, like even though the room is set up differently every time, like I feel like I've seen this room. I've seen this big empty studio room. Yeah,
all I was thinking was EXO. I was just thinking of like all like their particularly like three famous most famous music videos from, I would say like pre the war, maybe even like a lot of their videos are in that space.
Like I feel like the first opening scene in the TVXQ video was almost using like the same set as their like the early part of the Call Me Baby video from EXO, where they're like dancing in like a car dealership, and it looks like all of the same equipment, and like there's like a little staircase in the background, and it's like, did they just like keep everything set up?
Yeah, they just only return, but it's the same space. Yeah. And it's interesting though, because it's like depending on who the band is and what point in their career, what the setup actually is. Like TVXQ is coming back. They have been one of the most famous bands of all time in K-pop, and so they're coming back to this like fully furnished set that's glossy and sexy, whereas with EXO it's like cute, and they're coming out of a car and it's bright, and it's a very different, it's the same space but a very different setting. Definitely. In a way. Yeah. And then I like, my big thing of this was like, all I was like, is this is so dapper. Like everything about them, everything they're wearing.
I know.
They have this, it's just, they've always kind of had that like even pre-army, they had this very dapper sense to them. And I think for me, it was like, this is how you age as a pop star.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is how you come back as the pop star. I wrote like in my notes, this is what a K-pop oppa can do. Like they're the oppas, you know what I mean? Like they're back and they've got the threads, they've got this like sexy setting, but like behind the scenes we're famous. And then even the choreography, which we're going to get to later, like the choreography is very much like, it's intensive, but not what everybody else is doing right now. You know, it's not a lot of jumping on top of each other, doing flashy things. It's more adult. It's kind of like when Rain comes back and you're like, oh, this is what an adult does, you know?
Yeah. This is adult K-pop.
Yeah, this is the K-pop for technically my age group. Like technically this is what I should be listening to, but I listen to BTS.
Well, who doesn't listen to BTS? Nobody can blame you there.
Of course, everybody does now. So, and like my favorite thing, so Peter in our like little chat group that we have going on, he says that his wife, it's so funny to me because it's the exact same thought that I had, that his wife said she feels less guilty for liking them because they're older. And somehow like because of that, they seem more mysterious and worldly and like they've seen some things, which I thought was so funny. And it makes sense because they just came back from the army. You know, like they probably have seen some things that they did not see before, you know?
Well, and a big part of like what makes K-pop hard to get into for people is aegyo. And like, that's not just a girl thing. Well, I guess I don't know the word aegyo's translation well enough to say if it's just a girl thing or not,
it's
or
cute.
whatever. Yeah, like, but all the cute stuff. There's certainly lots of that in guy groups too. But in TVXQ, groups like TVXQ that are older, they're always wearing suits in their music videos.
Yeah.
You know, they're
got that chinois.
Yeah, they got like female background dancers that they're interacting with and stuff. You feel less guilty about showing people a TVXQ video because you're like, look at these tall, handsome, older men in K-pop that are actually really, really cool, and not just like some kid that's acting really cute that you don't like. It's culturally hard for you to understand. It's not difficult to understand the more mature, like dapper TVXQ concept.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, for the like, we always like to talk about theory. Like my thing is that the only theory I can give it is like the we're back and we're the kings of K-pop. You know, like that's all it really is. It's super straightforward. There's not a story. It's just, this is who we are. This is what we're returning to. And you know, the video has almost nothing to do with the lyrics, but that's okay. Like that's who they are. Yeah. You know, it doesn't have to be some huge, which, you know, I love my BTS like theories. I love all that stuff, but it's nice just to have like, this is a K-pop music video.
Yep. Just a good old music video. Lots of TVXQ looking their best. Lots of, you know, great choreography.
Being dapper as hell.
Dapper as hell. Indeed.
Now, going on to the choreography. What did you think about it?
I really liked it. I don't think anything in particular stood out to me, other than, of course, the return. I don't know if this is the same guy. I really hope it is. But they've always had, ever since they were a duo, they've always had this like background dancer that had a beard. And I just was like, there's one of their background dancers in this video has a beard, and I really hope it's that guy, because
I hope it is too.
That always stood like, he should be a meme. Nobody's made a meme out of the bearded TVXQ background dancer, but he deserves that. Maybe I'll make one for him. Time. I'll just like make a timeline of his beard or something.
Wow, it might not even be the same person, but make sure like you just have a meme of him growing older.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's something we were talking about earlier, like the interaction with like the male and female background dancers. You're starting to see younger K-pop groups be a little bit more involved with female dancers. I mean, particularly the only one I can think of is Winner right now. But
are they younger? Maybe it's just...
Yeah, they're like kind of, I think the youngest is probably, I'm going to say early 20s, but they're probably like, I think TVXQ, you know, is like a couple years younger than me. So like 30 something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's 30 something. Isn't that weird?
Well, how did I not know that? I was thinking like 29.
No, I had to look it up because I do that thing where I'm like,
I'm looking it up right now.
K-pop?
I cannot go forward with this podcast and not know their ages. That would be so... Oh, I can't believe this. This is so embarrassing.
I think I think one is born in 88, I want to say.
Oh,
so that's almost 30.
Yuno's 32.
Yeah, there we go.
Chungmin age is 30. Another Google search suggestion was Chungmin's sister age. So
I like that. That's a question. They want to know how old the sister is too. Yeah, for me, I think it's an interesting thing. Like, as you see them get older, it's like more comfortable dancing with female dancers. But what I thought was interesting with this one was that it seems like they're each in control of different groups. So Max actually appears to have like the control over the ladies, and seems to have control over the men.
I didn't notice
and
that,
so they kind of
like really, I think that's cool that you noticed. Yeah,
it's like really interesting. Like when it's Max's turn, he leads in the ladies, and when it's Yuno's turn, he leads in the men. And then at the end, they kind of like all come together. But my favorite part out of all of the choreography is like the butt slaps that they have where
I loved that.
That part gets me. I watch the live performances just to watch that part because I think he's like not making connection with the butts, but he's like so into it.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome.
I was really surprised by that. I was like, yep, TVXQ's back. They're older now.
TVXQ's back.
They're wiser.
And they're ready to slap some butts.
They're ready to slap some butts.
And I also just like all that. There's a lot of shoulder work going on. And I think it's like kind of like, it makes sense again, like I said, with this, the move towards like they're adults, so they're not going to be like doing flips, they're not going to be doing this crazy stuff. It's very much about this like, it's a very background dancer centric, which has to happen when you have two people, but it's also just really interesting what they do with that and making it very interesting. Uses of like who leads what group and when one comes in and the other one leaves when they're together, and they're kind of each other's partner. They're the partners for each other of leading what's going on around them. So going on, let's go on to the audio. How did you feel about this audio?
Besides loving it, everything about it, to be more specific, I love that as I was listening, I couldn't help but think that the producers just knew me. They were like, Rhodri's out there somewhere, and he's been waiting for this for 3 years. What is he looking for? What do we need to give Rhodri so that he'll go on the Kpopcast and endorse our song? And it is just their vocals. And that is like the entire beginning of the song is just their vocals, comes right in with them with those oohs, and then you've just got like this beat and like a bass line, and then there's more of them on top of it, and so you just get to hear these two beautiful men back for the first time after 3 years, and it's just my poor heart. It almost couldn't handle all of the satisfaction and joy.
Yeah, I know we would probably want to get more into the actual album at some point, but for me, this was talking about coming back from the army and being adult K-pop stars. This is 100% like them doing it's like they're not trying to match what everybody else is doing in K-pop right now. I remember when I was actually I'm still new to K-pop, so TVXQ is still new to me, and I go back and watch old things. But one of the things I remember is when looking at when Rain came back, and he tried really hard to match what was going on at the time, which is this hip hop influence, very much more aggressive. And it would have been wrong for a TVXQ. I don't even necessarily think it was right for Rain, but it's definitely not right for TVXQ. It's not who they are. And so they came back to their sound. And it's somehow like a throwback and contemporary at the same time because of that.
Yeah, I can't remember where I saw this, but on Twitter, I was reading, tweets the day it came out, and somebody said that it was like really classic sound, but also like it seemed like such a throwback, but also so like on trend. And like there's nothing about the song.
It doesn't feel weird.
Yeah, it doesn't feel dated.
It doesn't feel weird because it's them.
But it does feel very TVXQ. Like this is everything I liked about TVXQ. I don't feel like they've changed it all. And obviously they're not the ones they're probably not the ones writing the music and producing it and choosing the sound and everything so much. But their producers knew what we wanted, and they gave it to us. It was this is like what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I love the audio here. I don't think there's anything like particularly complex about it or anything, but it's just so TVXQ, and that's what I wanted. For those of you who may be new to TVXQ, you can listen to this song, and there's this moment about 2.5 minutes in. I think it's like at 2 and 29 seconds. There's this like harmony they do that is TVXQ to the letter. This is like exactly what they are meant to sound like to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure that's a thing. I'm pretty sure that they do this, and that like this is a TVXQ thing. And so I went back and, I don't know if it's exclusively TVXQ, but this beautiful vocal harmony where they just like hit high notes and like together, usually they do it in either a major or a minor third. And I went back and I found a few more examples of that. So I'm just going to play you that on the piano, and then we'll listen to the clip, and you can just experience with me, you who are maybe new to TVXQ, the beauty of Max and Yuno at their best. So first, you got obviously this moment in The Chance of Love, about 2.5 minutes in. And then you've got this moment in Catch Me, which is at 3 minutes and 45 seconds in. It's right at the end of the song, things are ramping up to the end, and then you just get this powerhouse moment. And then this moment in Humanoids, which happens every chorus, so you've got this over and over again. I'm sure this isn't the last time they've ever done it, but I didn't look through all their B-sides because that would take forever. They have so many. I think they have like over 900 songs over the course of their career.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so amazing. But anyway, there's this moment in the chorus of Something that obviously is also the same thing. And there you have it. Some TVXQ vocal harmonizing.
That's amazing. Okay, so it's about that time. It's time to give our final scores. For the concept, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest, how would you rate it?
So concept, I am going to rate a 4.1.
Wow. That's a big one.
Well, they're not like trying very hard to tell a story, but I think as far as like satisfying our expectations, they don't set the expectations very high, whereas some music videos do set the expectation pretty high on concept and then deliver like a really confusing or weird story that, it's like hard to understand and you need...
Doesn't quite mix.
Yeah, but they're just giving us what we want. And they're doing it really, really, really well. So I think 4.1 is not a bad score.
So I've realized recently that my scoring for concept is based on if I need to watch the video every time I hear the song. And I wouldn't necessarily say that. I actually prefer watching the live performances than the video. So I'd probably actually give this more like a 2.5 for the concept.
Okay.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. But like, again, going back to like that really cliche SM style is not really my kind of video. I don't need to watch that video really ever again. But I do like the dance moves, so I'm going to probably watch the live performances. But how about the audio, Rhodri? How do you feel about that? I have a feeling it's pretty good.
So actually on the audio, it's probably a little lower. They didn't really, one of my favorite things about TVXQ, and I should probably play you another montage, but there's this thing that Changmin, Max, does where he just like belts high notes. And if they were to give me one thing that they didn't give me, almost in this whole album, there's not a whole lot of this. It's just Max freaking destroying my ears with his beautiful voice hitting high notes. And that's not in here. So this song actually didn't give me everything I wanted. So I think I'm going to have to give it like a 3.2 because it's a good song.
Okay.
But if I am really getting what I want from TVXQ, I'm probably going to listen to another song. So the replayability here, at least for me as a fan, is kind of low.
I still really like this song, so I'm probably going to actually pop it up to a 3.2 also, which is kind of good for me. I think it's a song that would probably be something I listen to every so often. If it hits my any kind of playlist I have, I'll probably keep listening to it. I'm not going to switch to a different song, but I'm not going to like seek it out either. It's not my first choice.
Yeah. And I think part of the reason I give the concept such a high score is because the joy of this mostly for me is watching the music video and like seeing them back. So hearing the song, it's not so much of a celebration as it is just like when looks you, it gives you that look. When he's in that like room with all the lighting and he's in his suit and everything. And he just kind of looks at the camera and you're like, oh, that's my man. That is my That is what I needed.
It's so funny because when I watched this video, I was like, Max might be my guy. This was the one where I was super into Max.
I honestly, like, Max is unbeatable as a singer for me. If you go back and listen to some of his live performances, he genuinely can hit some really freakishly ridiculous high notes. But I think might be the best looking guy in K-pop. Like, I'm not even kidding. I honestly think that. He's just so, his facial structure is flawless. I don't know how he does it. It's not fair that a man can look like does.
Yeah. Oh my God. So,
anyway.
Is it Daebak or not?
I will give it a Daebak. Not a perfect song, but man, it's
still good.
It's good.
It's still something that like it's gonna be played. You know, it's maybe not the first choice, but it
was a really good comeback after 3 years. Definitely Daebak.
Well, we got a second release that came out pretty shockingly at the beginning of this week.
Yeah.
That we got a video for Love Line because I really, really, really liked the song on the album.
Yeah.
This one obviously has like a little bit more of a story going on, which I really enjoyed. I called it like, it's a House Island K-pop co-op.
It's not
like,
untrue.
It's basically what it is like, it's almost like I was like, am I watching a reality show about them being on a house island? Like, it's literally a house that's an island in the middle of the ocean. And it's like super modern. And like the weird part is that it's two guys and a girl living together, and you're not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I did really notice was the change in the day. Like during the day, it went from like morning bright colors, midday like mid colors, and then nighttime dark colors. And you saw it with their outfits changing too. And so I think it was just kind of like, if you look like on top of when they're dancing on, I guess it looks like it's almost like on top of the house is a pool that they're dancing. But it might just be a whole different space.
Which, by the way, totally looked like it was in that same room we've been talking about since the beginning.
Oh my God, it had to be in that same room.
It's just that studio. Like, every time it's that studio. I just feel like I see it over and over again.
It's so much space too. Like, it's crazy how much they like use that space. Yeah. You can see like each outfit changes as they're doing different things. So like in the morning they're cleaning, in the afternoon they're like working out and watching TV and hanging out. And then at the night they're like, I guess they're like ready to go on a trip, which I found interesting. But more importantly, like each outfit changes, which I was so ready for, because by the end, is in a leather jacket and I was totally here for it. On top of, I was totally here for his blonde hair.
Oh yeah, that was a nice touch.
100%. That's where I was like, oh no, he's real hot. Like, Max was real cute in Chance of Love, but, stole my heart here.
So I actually have...
So I know you have a theory.
I do.
A full theory.
I do. I was like looking at the music video and I was like, I'm just going to try and figure this out and get a theory going here. And so here's what I've got.
Okay.
My theory disagrees with your idea that they may be living together with this girl.
Mm-hmm.
In my theory, you got three characters. You got Yuno, Changmin, and the girl. Yuno and Changmin are friends / brothers / roommates. Could be any of those three. They live together there in that house. And the girl is actually a friend of theirs. Because in the very beginning, you see her like helping out with some like clothes, carrying a bunch of clothes up the stairs. And, you know, Max like stops on the stairs and looks at her. And there's like this,
wistfully.
Yeah, wistfully. Exactly. That's perfect. That saves me the trouble of trying to explain that.
I got those romance novels going.
Perfect. But yeah, you see, so he looks at her and they go back down and she like makes her way downstairs. He makes his way upstairs and Yuno is just kind of always there, but never seems like overtly interested. I don't ever see him giving these wistful looks at her. She in that moment is helping out, but I actually don't think she helps out with anything else. Like most of the rest of the video is Yuno and Max doing chores while she is just kind of sitting there accompanying them or like smiling and looking around and laughing at their jokes and things like a friend would that just like comes over to their to her friend's house every once in a while and just to like because she's off work and she's hanging out. But Max is slowly falling, and maybe she's a friend of Yuno and Max is just like slowly falling in love with her, even though she considers him the friend zone as well. It's a friend zone theory here. But I don't really know where the girl fits in. They see her on TV. She like is advertising a flight.
Yeah, to Europe, which I found interesting.
Also, something you may find interesting. I don't know if you know this already, but they had to pull the music video off of YouTube and repost it because that scene,
Why?
The map in that scene, they actually missed Japan. There's no Japan in it, or there wasn't.
Oh no!
And so people complained, and they had to like cut themselves off
Redo
from
the
like
whole thing.
all of the day one listens.
It's okay. I've probably watched the video like 6 times since then. So
Perfect.
Like 6 times today, probably.
I'm sure that makes up for it. So that's excellent.
I was wondering why the views were so low today, and then I guess that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so they missed out on a
that's
ton of numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a really good theory. I mean, it's definitely like whether who's in love with who. I definitely think Max is in love with that girl. I don't know if she reciprocates at all. She does like to like make him run faster, which I found really funny. When he's on the treadmill. But yeah, I think that probably makes sense. There's there's nothing past that. I think it's not like any deeper than that at all.
Yeah, there appears to never be a plot resolution where Max gets the girl or tells her how he feels and gets rejected. Like there's just
no, they go on an airplane where she's apparently a stewardess.
Yep, and then nothing happens and there doesn't appear to be a deep meaning to accompany that.
So on to the choreo, which I feel like is a little bit more, it's a little less because there's a story, it's a little less involved in the video, but I was impressed with because it seems to go a little bit more with the song. It seems like
in the song and in the video, you'll see the word parallel and it's like a travel magazine he's reading with her on the cover.
Yeah.
So Max is involved with the word parallel, and in the lyrics, they're singing about two people who I guess are meant for each other, no matter how different, and they'll end up with each other because they're walking kind of on the same path, and they'll just like end up eventually together.
Even if they're not meant to be, they're going to end up together.
Exactly. So they've got this word parallel in the lyrics and in the video, and in the choreo, they've got like 2 parallel lines at one point, and like they do some stuff with the parallels, and it's like it's not particularly creative maybe, but it's it's a good artistic move, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, I thought that this choreo was just really smooth. It was a very like smooth kind of choreo. It kind of goes with the song in general of being this like smoother, upbeat, but not super fast paced song. This song is a little bit more playful, but the moves are still more smooth and interesting, more so than like Aegyo.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like you mentioned, like a
Aegyo
b-boying, like flipping and crazy stuff.
There's none of that going on. It's like it goes really well with the song without being Aegyo or b-boy. It's like very specific to them.
Yeah, it's super refined.
And I also... Yeah, it's very, refined is the perfect description for both of these comebacks. I feel like both songs, it's a refined sense. And then with what I really liked is all the objects that were dancing around them. Like there's the part with the shirts are literally doing their movements, which I thought was really cool. But then like later on you see like the sugars for the coffee dancing, or like they're moving around like to the beat of the song, which I thought was really cute. It's almost like the video was Eggyo, but they weren't Eggyo.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I see what you're saying there. I'm probably more used to this, having, loved TVXQ for so long. But their dances, I find, are mostly like that. Like, Yuno's the dancer generally, and Max is the vocalist. When they do live performances, I think their dances tend to be less complicated, especially at the points where, Max will be singing.
Yes.
So that Max can sing live.
Which they do in every performance, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's another reason for like the kind of smoother, slower kind of dancing. It's not super flashy or anything because it makes it a little easier to sing while you're doing it.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that you see that with other groups doing that sometimes too, where I see this a lot with BTS, when Jin is singing, they slow down the choreography, or he doesn't have as many movements.
Yeah.
So it'll give him a chance to like pick up his vocals, That's a good thing to have for your group to understand in the choreo what you need to do to best feature them. On to the audio. We've got another song that has woos in it. I really liked this. They use their vocals almost to go along with the background instrumental. So it's adding to the sound of the song.
A big trend in production these days is to leave a lot of room for the vocals, which is kind of a staple. There's a Swedish producer called Max Martin that a lot of like the top 40 artists will use. And a staple of his is to like, what's the Taylor Swift song? Blank Space is a perfect example of this. There is so much room in that song for her vocals to act as the instrument.
Nice to meet you, where you been? I could show you incredible things.
And they do that really well in this song Love Line.
When I think about you,
where there's tons and tons of room for TVXQ's vocals, which, one, satisfies me as a fan because I get to hear them sing.
Yep.
And two, just is a really trendy, cool way to make a song.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear people that can actually sing.
Well, and there's a breathy quality to the sound of their voices, but it's not connected. You know what I mean? There's a connection to the diaphragm still. And I think that's a really hard thing to do. I remember being in choir, and you have to, like, at some points in songs, especially when you get into the really choral stuff, you have to get really quiet, but you still have to be connected to something. And I think that actually kind of almost goes along with what the song is about, which is kind of about two people falling in love despite everything that should pull them apart. It's this like cute, sweet, we're going to be in love no matter what. It really goes with the sound and the message that they're going for.
Yeah. One final thought on the audio from me. Tamar Herman, who listeners to this podcast probably know pretty well. She's a K-pop journalist. She thought this album was such easy listening that it should come with a margarita, which is totally, I feel like that's totally sums up Love Line. Because it is so smooth and refined, and it's this trendy new production, but it's still got a lot of the old TVXQ vibe going. It's like, that is so much how I felt. It's just like the most relaxing, easy listening experience ever. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it really did feel like that easy listening quality. I think it's makes so much sense. And I like, the whole time I was like, I just want to like sit by the pool and listen to this song like casually, while
like everything else in life will just come
the sun.
together. It's all a matter of time until everything is all good. All I got to do is sit here and just relax. This is great.
Okay, so we got to give our final scores on this one too. So for the concept, how would you rate it?
Concept, I am going to go probably a 2.7. Slightly above halfway mark, but because I think the like coloring and everything was really cool, but I also was a little disappointed by there not being much of a story going on. So probably 2.7.
So I am the complete opposite. This was like the one that I was waiting for. I loved the like friend zone story that you just told me, but I just really like this, like, what is happening here? Who likes who? What's happening? And so I was like way into it. It was almost like watching a K-drama, which I love to do. So I'm going to actually give this a 3.9.
I like that we have some diversity here. Different perspectives. This is good.
Yeah. This is like, I actually legitimately, again, this is one of those ones where it's like, I will go, if I'm listening to a song, I might want to go back and watch the video because the colors and the saturation and how pretty they are. And I'm going to tell you that blonde hair is going to keep me coming back every time.
And nobody's going to blame you. That man. He can pull off any color of hair.
Exactly. I want to see what he does next. Okay, so for the audio, what do you have?
So for audio, I'm going to go a 3.2.
Okay.
Not my favorite.
Okay.
Really nice song. But again, just like, it doesn't check all of the boxes, but it does check a lot of them.
And I'm going to be a pain and I'm a 3.9 on this one.
Glad.
I like Chance of Love. It's a good song, but when I saw the performances, I was like, no, I like the song better. And when I listened to the album, this was the one that stood out to me. I thought it's just a fun song and it's cute. And I really like this kind of sound. I like the kind of easy breezy. The true honesty is this isn't necessarily like my sound for music in general. And K-pop is hard because you have a lot of this and the aegyo and all these different things. And I really like hip hop. That's what drew me to like BTS. But more and more this like quality song that you have here of like it's not quite a ballad, but it's sweet. Yeah. It really is. It's making a difference for me and I'm really enjoying it. And so I really enjoyed this version.
Well, I'm glad. I may not be my favorite TVXQ song ever, but I am really glad that you like it because I love TVXQ and I am just, happy that there is another TVXQ fan out there now.
It's starting to really come full circle for me because I was like, I don't know about these old groups. And now this is a good one for me. How do you feel about this one? Is it Daebak or not? Well, it's definitely Daebak for me. So.
And I think, obviously I didn't love the concept and it's not my favorite TVXQ song, but again, given what they need,
got a high bar.
They did exactly what they needed to do and they did it really well. It's a great music video, great coloring and all that. The song is wonderful and easy to listen to. Daebak.
Don't trust this little lie.
Be sure to join us for our weekly K-pop Twitter chats on Tuesdays at #KpopChat, led by Supermatic. This week we discussed the completion of the female supergroup Luna and the final addition of Olivia High to the group.
So one of the questions that Supermatic posed for all of the people taking part in the K-pop chat was, for veteran stans, what would you tell someone to get them to check out Luna? And then for newbies, what have you always wanted to ask about Luna? And then one of our veteran followers here, we've got Coat Dai. I never know how to say people's names on Twitter. Anyway, we got Coat Dai. Forgive me if that's not how you say it. I would tell them that Luna is a girl group consists of 12 soloists. Each girl is given her own opportunity to showcase her talent through this 18-month project with high-quality solo music videos, sub-unit music videos, and then finally forming the whole group together. I completely agree with that. I've been really impressed with the amount of talent that is in Luna, and they definitely do seem like 12 soloists. Which hopefully we'll get to see more of that now that they're a group, because I've really grown attached to that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because with a group that large, having them come out in slow pieces is helpful to digest. Like the minute a group hits over 9, I typically blank out.
Yeah, I don't even keep track of who's in the group
it's
anymore
nice to have.
There's over 9.
17 took me forever to learn. Really, it's 7 for me, but I'll say 9 because I've been getting better. But 17 was work to learn. So this is really interesting that they've given us some time to really digest everybody. Another question that we had was, what are you listening to K-pop this week? And Nora, who's at TV and stuff, she said, Pentagon Shine. The whole album is wonderful and the group is so underrated. Hope they get to strike gold with this one. It's so addictive to listen to and sing along. And I completely agree to that. It would have been my hit replay this week, but I have a feeling it's going to be somebody else's hit replay later on another K-pop cast. But it's also still kind of a new song that's coming out, but I have been listening to it nonstop as of now. It's a fantastic song, and I actually am really excited for Pentagon to have their moment to literally shine.
Yeah, they've had some great songs so far. Everybody, thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, and tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about other K-pop podcasts, podcasts are a great way to, learn more about K-pop and some songs that you maybe missed. That's one of my favorite things about them anyway. So I definitely recommend listening to more K-pop podcasts.
Signing off, give us your handle and where you can be reached at. And with that, what is your all-time favorite TVXQ music video concept?
So I am on Twitter. I'm at Rhodri. It's just my name twice. RHODRI. RHODRI. It'll be in the description, so you can find it there. My favorite TVXQ music video concept would have to be the Keep Your Head Down one. Not only is that one of my favorite songs, beautiful, epic, high notes from Max. So Keep Your Head Down, you got lots of fire, lots of great choreo, lots of suits, lots of Max and Yuno in suits. I mean, who can ask for more?
For me, you can reach me at Twitter at Ariana_Y_Con, as in Genghis Khan. Mine is, going to be very typical. I love something. I love everything about that. I'm not like a big band sound kind of person, but I'm definitely a big band style kind of person.
I endorse this choice.
And so I really like
so
that.
much.
Yeah, I love it. So, and I love the beginning of the playing the bass with rope.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just really cool.
That was a good idea.
That's probably my favorite. And don't forget to tell us your answer by tweeting us at the Kpopcast. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night. Also, can we talk about how I want to be on an airplane that has armchairs like that?
Oh, yeah.
If only.
And look at all the leg room they've got.
Oh my God, I wish. That's like the killer.